Welcome to Otakus and Geeks, the hour. Join Justin, Nadia, Sean, Jarrell, and guest panelists as they discuss the latest news, give reviews, and conduct interviews in all things entertainment. Without further ado, let's start the show.
Welcome to otakusandgeeks.com. This is kind of a special episode of it's an otaku thing. I guess me and Ashley gonna just be talking everything anime. We haven't done this show in a minute, but we've been in such a groove after this essential anime. We're gonna be sharing more con stories and things of that nature. So Ashley, as we did, if you watch our essential anime that I posted, me and Ashley alluded to our con experience of the great Soul Eater Ghostbusters story. But there's some more stories here at the conventions and through the adventures of 13 years of Otakus and Geeks. And I guess this is kind of a retrospect of I really should do this with everybody, but look, we're gonna do a two-parter. So this is gonna be the retrospect of how this thing really kind of started. And me and Ashley came up with otakusandgeeks.com, and this has been 13 years, Ashley. Holy God.
I was 13.
You were literally 13 when we started this. I was 23. Like the inception of this is in 2008, but it didn't fully launch website wise until 2010. That's why it's 13 years. But if you want to add the 2+ years, it's been 15 years of Otakus and Geeks. And just this is the origin story of this, the story of Otakus and Geeks, how it happened. Well, it happened originally. I was using this website that I'm actually teaching my students how to use now. Blogger.com is where I started doing webpage, the webpage and blogging and everything else. And I had this website called Artistic Wings, which was going to be like kind of my basically brand to market my comic books, which now for those who follow me knows that is now in fruition years later. In hindsight, it became Imaginative Visions, which just has a better name to it, by the way. Imaginative Visions. But Artistic Wings was, I was just showcasing, and I was just like doing more movies and stuff and talking about movies and things I wanted to do. And I started out podcasting, believe it or not, when podcasting was really just becoming a thing. Like when it early started, like with Apple, it was me, Des, who everybody knows, Des, who watches this channel, Des watching UWL, the UWL, Des, my comic commentator, and Keenan. Then you seen Keenan pop in from Otakus and Geeks all the time, and you seen me and Keenan's show 2 Minutes of Gaming. We had a podcast, I think back in 2005 to 2006, called It Feels So Good to Be So Smart on iTunes. And it was just like a video game podcast. And that just kind of sparked the plug of once that ended, I was like, I want to do more of this because this is fun to do. So that's when I started Artistic Wings. And this is when I had like the dreams of becoming a screenwriter. Like that was my goal. Still is kind of my goal, but now that I've, have 3 books out and the 4th one on the way, the conclusion, the screenwriter bug and knowing a little bit of what's really going on in the industry, the ins and outs and all that dark shit that happens in the industry, kind of like to do the independent and just stay in my lane and do me. But that's neither here nor there, by the way. That's a whole nother episode. But anyway, so I started this thing called Artistic Wings, and the girl I don't even call it if we were dating or not. The girl I was seeing at the time, came, for those who know, who I speak of. But the girl I was seeing at the time, it was like, I noticed that you're doing a lot of anime. You are, and she's from Japan, so she's like, you're kind of an otaku. And this was kind of in Japan, otaku back in the days was such an insult to
in
it was
America. Well,
yes.
and also in Japan too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Japan it was an insult. It was like a derogatory term for those
Yeah.
who are obsessed with anime. So it wasn't really, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was us here in the States that took that term and kind of made it an empowering or a
Yeah.
badge of honor.
Hmm.
And
But just in the community, not necessarily outside of the community.
exactly. So she was like, "You're an otaku." So I was like, "Hmm." And I, I was thinking, I was like, "Hmm." I'm a geek. I'm a gamer. Tacos and geeks. East I always get this from people. It's like it's the same thing. It really isn't. Um, it's East meets West. That was the whole concept of it. Was bridging the two geeks into one website where we will
Hmm.
cover American geek culture and Japanese geek culture. And if you look at you can go through the archives of YouTube. Like, man, it's rough stuff, by the way. It's some severe, rough
Very,
shit. Like, if you
very.
look at my first, I mean, I cringe. I cringe at my early interviews. Oh my God. I had no idea what I was fucking doing.
I cringe at the early writings that I did.
Yes.
Remember, I was in that fan fiction phase.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I wrote fan fiction too, but your fan fiction is pretty decent. And the early years, I kid you not, was probably it was such a learning curve because no one taught us how to do anything. I didn't know coding. Still don't know really coding that much. I used Blogger. Had to find like a template that was like Blogger templates at the time was trash. Oh my God. You had to go and find someone who adapted WordPress templates for Blogger, and you just had
Hmm.
to literally know a
Do
little
it
bit of
from
code
there.
to change it up. And I would remember like I had like it was me, Keenan, you, and Jamila's brother Miles. And Jamila's an orphan now, which is just crazy how everybody's paths just like went just
Diverged and yeah, went to
yeah.
different
I mean,
ways.
Jamila I think has like 3 or 4 comics out now.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was just like so we it was like a really small niche, and we were just like everybody had a different section. I was covering anime, games, and things of that nature. Everybody had like their role to play, and from there, it just kind of like we got, I would say, we started getting a little bit of traction in traffic, and I will never forget this. The first company that put us on the PR list. We didn't go to them because usually, when you starting out, you have to reach out to PR
It
and
was
to go,
hard.
yeah, and to go to the PR people, you have to research them. You have to go and you have to like really, um,
Put yourself out there and
yeah, put
hope and
yourself out there.
pray.
We had no traffic, but somehow I'm not gonna say the guy's name, but I'll say his last name. Actually, I won't say his last name. A representative of Crunchyroll reached out to us, and it was like, "Hey, we really like your stuff. Would you be interested in doing an interview and learn more about Crunchyroll and everything else?" And I'm like,
And this is when Crunchyroll first started out, right? Or was
"Yeah."
it?
I think
Yeah.
it was the early stages of Crunchyroll,
Mm.
and I was like, "How did you find us? We're literally molecules in this game. We just started." And he was just like, "Hey, we've been searching for content, and you guys popped up." And I was just like, "Let's do it." And then from one thing, and then after that, after Crunchyroll, I went to New York Comic Con, and then I did my first. Well, what this wasn't at New York Comic Con. This was actually Anime Fest because New York Comic Con didn't exist yet,
Yes.
and this was our first press pass.
Hmm.
And this is when Keenan was still there. We were doing the Bond thing. You and Jamila was playing. I know it was a
It was
Wii game.
Kirby. It was a new. I think it was a new Kirby game.
Yeah, it was the new Kirby game.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
Yarn. It was Kirby.
yeah,
It was
Kirby
a
on.
Yarn.
That's right.
It
Yeah,
was
it
that
was
one.
Kirby because we were playing the James Bond game, me and Keenan,
Hmm.
and that's when we saw Sean because Sean was at the convention too.
Hmm.
And for my first interview, and I told people this because when I first started, I don't think actually I ever told this story. When I first started Otakus Geeks, I had so many people tell me I was wasting my time.
Hmm.
Why are you wasting your time? You should be focusing on this, getting this job, doing this, doing that. I was hell bent on making sure that because I told people, I was like, my first year, I'm going to get a big name. I'm going to attract a celebrity. I'm going to interview a celebrity. I'm going to attract somebody who's a veteran in this industry. Everybody thought I was joking. My first interview with someone major in the industry was Kim Cattrall, who plays who's in Sex in the City. And Kim Cattrall, I mean, her name's a veteran, rings for itself. And what she said to me at the end of that interview has stuck with me to this day. Because I asked, because how I used to do my interviews, if you look back at how I used to do my interviews, I always asked the I don't do this anymore, obviously, because I'm a veteran now, believe it or not. I used to ask, do you have anything inspirational or words of wisdom for your fans? And what Kim Cattrall said to me always stuck with me. It's something that Jack Lemmon passed down to her. And she was like, do what you're afraid of, kid, and you're going to be okay. And that just stuck with me. After that, I mean, people don't realize this too. If you really look back at the archives, man, we interviewed a lot of people before they got like, we interviewed Michael B. Jordan.
We did.
Yeah, for that awkward moment. Zac
Yeah.
Efron. Like, if you look, go to otakusandgeeks.com, search this website. If you look at the archives, we were there. We were just like, it's for me. So it's like, I look at 13 years and then I see all these people and I'm like, wow. Like, even voice actors, I'm just like, wow. Like, we were there when they're early stages, and this is like, man, that's like, it's such a feeling. And it's just like, it's so much stories. I'm gonna pass it down to Ashley, about her first times and her trials and errors as well. Like me, like, oh my god, like the view. Like, if you look at our old videos, I used to use this program called the Movies, and oh god, and then I use Movie Storm from time to time. I mean,
I remember.
It's so bad it's good. I'll put it that way. You can see the progression in ONG now. With 13 years, but I'm gonna pass it to Ashley. And what are some experiences like those early, I would say, beginning rookie roles?
Well, it wasn't at anime. It wasn't at anime festival, I don't think. But like what I used to do, because I'm a writer too, is that I think at a certain point, I think around 2020, so 2012 was our last one for New York Anime Festival, because then they switched completely over to New York Comic Con. And then that was also my switch, like I was moving. So I was going to college in Virginia. So that was going to be it for me. But I remember I think it was the last one was Fairy Tale was the last one. Before that, it was Black Butler.
Yeah.
So I remember so Todd was late because there was a delay, I think, in his plane. So I couldn't meet Todd at the time, but I met like Jeremy Lee and like other people from Fairy Tale, and I love Jeremy. She is so sweet and awesome. And I remember I gave her a poem based off of another character that I really enjoy that no one really talks about. And that was I would say it's a horror anime. I think it's something that did I put you on it or did you put me on it?
If it's horror, most likely I did.
Because it was the one with Mai, and remember, like,
you mean Elfenlied?
It was with Mai, like the girl's name was Mai, and like they went into these haunted places. And there was a monk, and then there was like a psychic. What's the name? It's been a long time, and I watch it. I try to watch it every Halloween.
13 years, give us a break.
Technically 15, but it's been
My like MAI.
MAI.
Okay.
Gosh, and Todd Habercorn was the lead.
It's not Ghost Detective, right? Ghost Hunt.
No.
Ghost Hunt.
Ghost Hunt. Yes.
Ghost Hunt. Yeah.
Ghost Hunt.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Love that show. So I remember like giving her a poem based off of that character, mine. Because I just love that show so much, and no one also maybe that should be 57. No one talks about Ghost Hunt. And I think and the dub is really good.
Yeah.
So I remember giving that to her, and then I left for college. And at the college that I was at in Virginia, they also had NecoCon, which was their annual convention that they had there in the local area. So I tried to go there like all my 4 years too, because I was also part of the anime club that was in college, and then also my second to last year I was president of, and I'll go into those details later about what happened with that. So when I was at the convention one time, Sherry was there. And I remember going up to her and I was getting some autographs and stuff. And I said, I don't think you remember me, but I gave you a poem back in 2012 for the fairy tale line. And she actually remembered. She was like, oh my gosh, yes, I remember you. How are you? Your poem was amazing. And so like, that was something that I will always gravitate towards. I met Todd. So like at the 2012 one, I was the first in line because I knew that like if I waited any longer, I probably would not get the question, but it wasn't a question. But I started off saying that like, Todd, I heard you got a delay and I wanted to give you something. I written a poem for you and I wanted to give this to you. It's still online to this day. If you type in fairy tale 2012 panel. So I said, can I give it to you? And Todd is super funny. So he was like, not even my own mom writes me poems. Sure. I'll take it. He's like, thank you. And he like gave me like the sweetest hug. And then I sat down and enjoyed the rest of the panel. So then it was I saw him at NecoCon again. And I don't think
NecoCon, wow.
Yeah, I don't think
throwback.
I know. I don't think I asked him if he remembered me, because also too that was like very, very long time ago. But he was super sweet and we took a picture together and I was dressed as like a sim. I made the plum myself. From tutorials online, and
because that's when you and Liz went.
Yes, this is when I went with my anime group. Yeah. So there was that, and then also too, I think it was before I moved, I had my first interview alone, and I think that was with Chris Kaysen, that was with J. Michael Tatum, and that was with Kyle Abear. The three of them. I forgot which convention it was. I think it was NecoCon, I think. Or was it Otaku? No, it wasn't.
It's probably Otaku.
I think it was Otaku. So
this was our first Otaku.
Yes.
Because that's when Otaku was in Baltimore.
Yes. This was my first interview. No. This was NecoCon. Because I remember, because I was with my friend at the time and I said I had to leave. I had to go and do the interview. This was the first time I'd done an interview by myself. I've always been Justin's co-pilot when it came to interviewing.
And I said this time, I was like, nope, it's time for you to fly.
Yeah, and I was like, thanks. Throwing me off the cliff to see if I can do this.
I'm used to I throw people off the cliff a lot. It's like sink or swim here.
He's used to pushing me into things that are making me uncomfortable, you should always have a person like that in your life, by the way. So
yeah, don't paint me as like this villain, like you're gonna do it.
No. What was you about to say? You were about to say something before.
Like, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do it well.
No. So
I'm not that type of person, people. I'm not like, no, do it. Review this book. Review this anime. You're gonna do this now.
He's very encouraging and
very it's just blunt. Something that, because at the time, not to get personal, Ashley is, like she said before, if you watched the previous Jimmy, even in she's introvert at times. So
at times I am the
introvert. At times, you're not always an introvert.
When I'm comfortable in my area and like my expertise, I'm extroverted.
So I'm more, I'm definitely more outgoing. Like I'm the type to just, not everyone can do this. Not everybody's like that. Like to just, like if there's flames there, I'm probably going to be going in just to, like it's my I don't believe in signs so much, but Sagittarius, I'm a curious cat. Until something happens with the cat. Mm-hmm. So this cat gets his, like, oh God, maybe I shouldn't have done it. But when it comes to the website and things like that, especially when I was interviewing and things of that nature, I'm always diving in head first. Even if it's a topic we have gotten so much, even to this day, we got so much interview offers and things like that. And it's a blessing. It really is, especially with the numbers that we do. The fact that people are just like, they look at the body of work and go, yeah, your numbers are not like millions like this YouTuber, or hell, you're not even the thousands, but yet people are just like, we like your work and the way you guys ask questions and do that. Like, you're not. And here's just a little bit before I let Ashley go back to the story. Here's the thing, for those who are thinking about becoming or doing your own YouTube channel or your own website and you want to interview people. Here's my rule, and this is something I'm teaching my media club as well. Will be teaching my media club. When you're doing an interview, stay on topic. Stay on topic. The star, the artist, or whoever your field is that you have on your show, whatever they're there to talk about, you stick to it. If you get it approved ahead of time and be like, hey, I want to ask this couple of questions, or if you're doing something like a retrospect, something like an inside the actor studios type of style interview, where you can do a little bit of their backstory or if they're even opening up to you because they feel comfortable, explore that. But don't be asking them latest rumors or personal questions like, hey, is it true you're dating? No one wants to. You'll be so surprised how uncomfortable a lot of people are like that. Their personal lives are just that. They're here to promote something. They're here to do a business. Stick to the script. And you'll be surprised. One, you can stick to the script and still have quality, funny, enjoyable interviews. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to just be, oh, tell me about your work. No, if the person is energetic, and you have to read the room too, because at times there's situations too where I had interviews where the person I'm not going to say who, obviously. I had at New York Comic Con, I had somebody who had a previous bad interview. I was next in line. It was a line, and we had like 5 good 7 minutes. And the guy before me kept pressing all these personal questions about this person's demons that they conquered. Kept bringing it up. And I saw the body movement, because when he said next, for me, it was at so much anger. Now I'm like, oh shit. Now the guest is in a bad mood because some dickhead's trying to get some clicks. Now how I'm gonna approach this, because the energy is kind of like fuck off media. Mm-hmm. So it's up to me now, not only to bring it back down, but also make it enjoyable, make them feel comfortable. So, start off with a compliment, talk about the topic. I stayed on topic, left there, guest back in a good mood. And at the end, it was like, yo, thank you for that, because that dude was a dick. I was like, yeah. I said, dude, just get his outlet and ban him from, that's it. And that's just my advice to everyone who's ever going to want to do interviews, stuff like that. Stay on topic. Don't get personal as they get personal. And even though, be careful with that too, because I also had a guest at New York Comic Con who got too personal. I'm not going to say who, what celebrity, got way too personal. I'm like, yo, I can't print that. I'm just going to delete that question for your image and for me not to get sued. So, you got to read the room. But Ashley, you can continue your story. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. So, yeah. So, kind of speaking of like me being a fledgling interviewer, I had questions down and everything, and I was super nervous. Not only that, but I rode on the elevator because I was leaving with J. Michael Tatum. I remember I was leaving with him, a couple people that work at the con, I believe, and his partner. So like we were all in the elevator, like riding up together. So that was also a little bit like And we went to like one of the hotel rooms that they had set up for interviews as well. So here I am doing this alone, trying to set up like the recording on my phone, trying to take my time with it. I am shaking. I don't know where to start. But like as soon as I sat down and introduced myself and just started rolling, like they had me laughing before the interview started.
Yeah.
And you could hear that like there's it's still on the site. You can still hear that like as I was introducing the site and everything, I was laughing. I was giggling. Because they just made like how Justin said that you can make the interviewee comfortable, the interviewer can make the the interviewer can make the interviewee comfortable. It's the same thing with the interviewee.
Yeah.
So like they knew that like this was my like I told them like this is my first time. I'm sorry if I feel really nervous. And they just had like jokes with me, like jokes on me a little bit, you know, like it felt like we were just talking as friends. And so getting that, and it was 3 people at once. So this was my first interview, not with just one-on-one, but it's with 3 people. But just talking with them just on a human level. Like I talked to them as if they were already a friend.
Yeah.
And the questions that I've asked, like if something sparked another question, it would still be on the same topic. So it just flowed. So it just became really natural to me. And then I remember seeing J. Michael Tatum again. I think it was Otakon like a couple years later. And he was super sweet, and just talking with him and saying like at the time I just finished Kami-sama Kiss, which is super good. And that was when like at the end he did different voices.
Yeah.
Like I would ask questions and he would do different voices. But even through that interview, like he was just felt really comfortable, and he was laughing and he enjoyed the questions that I had. And I think also too, if you're planning on doing interviews, ask questions that no one else has really asked before. So like we just had an interview with somebody that I can't wait for you guys to see. And I had a question, like I had a fun question in my head about like you know, if you were in this world type of thing, like how would you go about it? Or just asking her like, what is your word of the day? Like something that's like not necessarily a part of the work, but still a part of the work, but just makes them feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
So asking, and sometimes it can be outlandish questions, like why would you even ask that? But like I was saying before in the past, in the last video, that voice actors and like celebrities, they're human too, and they get tired and they get frustrated and they get angry, and they get fed up with like the same questions over and over again. So I know like Justin and I, we try to make it fun, but we also try to make it personable, where it's like we're just sitting down on the couch and we're just shooting the S. Like that's all we're doing.
Yeah, even with your interview with Bryce.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Bryce is so fun.
I'm literally going through our archives right now, and it's just like that was in Otakon 2015.
Yeah, and so by then I gotten used to being an interviewer. So like I already have my questions down to ask, you know, that type of thing. And like he was super sweet, and like it was that interaction. There was also the interaction with Robbie Damon that I remember, and we talked about how hot it was in Baltimore before we sat down to talk. And I think it was on a Sunday too, so it was like early on Sunday. But he was super sweet, and just like I'm just asking him questions, and just having like, even before you sit down, sometimes even just asking about the weather or talking about the weather, even though it may seem awkward at first, it helps to open up people to conversation instead of just like, I leave all the gossip and stuff to the gossip blogs. Like if they're there at a specific event, like as Justin was saying, they're there to promote, but they're all like, I also feel too, like when you're there at those type of conventions, you should also have fun and should also experience the con for what it is. And not having it to be all work all the time. So by like let's see. So that first interview that I had, I think that was back in 2011. So then as like the years have gone on, like by 2015, by like the early 2010s, I think I pretty much got the interviews down.
Yeah.
And it just like I was nervous, yes. But I think I was mostly nervous because these were people that I respected in the industry and that I grew up and that I like not necessarily emulate, but just I inspire to be. And like J. Michael Tatum, like I will always say, like his interactions that I've always had with him was probably the best. Because it was so personable and like very much like down to earth. So the first time I really, really met him, well, not really, really met him. So I had that interview. And then I believe I saw him again at NecoCon. And I remember going to a couple of his panels. So the first panel that I went to with my friend from college, I asked, because she was Mario, so and she had a mustache on a stick. So I asked her if I could use it to like get his attention for a question. So at the time, Black Butler was like one of my top animes at that time. So love Black Butler, and I think it was, I was about to say DLC, but it was the OVAs when they were on the ship, and then there was the circus, which so good because also Matt Mercer was also in it, and he was awesome in it. And I couldn't stop raving about it. But so I raised the mustache in my hand, and he pointed me out, and I said, I must ask you a question, and I can't shave it for later. And he was like, oh God. But it was like a funny, like,
oh God, the cringe level, but
right.
It was
right. But it got his attention. So
yes, it did.
So I said that would it be possible if, and I have it saved, like it's the second tab ever on my desktop, right next to Otakus and Geeks, actually, ironically. But so I asked him like, hey, I wrote this monologue of Sebastian. I was wondering, could you recite it? And he said, okay, let me take a look at it. And then he's like, distract. So like I started dancing and twirling, like being a theater kid. If you ask me to perform, here I go. So I did that, and I sat down, and he's like, this is really, really good. Did you write this? And I said, yeah, I wrote everything. He's like, you should be a writer. This is like really, really good. And he recited it, and I remember after that he put it down, and he got the shivers afterwards, and I was like, yes. And then also people around me, I heard were saying like that was really well written. And the next day he had a panel, and I was like, I don't know if you remember me from yesterday, but I gave you that poem. But I actually asked him a question about being a writer for anime, because for a lot of people who don't know, he is a adaptation writer for Funimation.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still is now, but from what I remember, he was at the time.
Point, yeah.
And so, because I remember, like, one of my favorite shows is Romeo X Juliet, and he was like one of the writers for that show. And ironically, he was William Shakespeare in that show. So I asked him that question, and basically he was telling me how like just keep writing. You're a very good writer, that type of thing. And like that always was stuck in my mind for just really about anything. Like you don't know what a person may think or your opinion or anything. Like if you want to be successful, especially in this type of industry, you have to take that leap of faith and be like, hey, look at this. I don't know what you're going to think about it, but this is a chance too. And so like him like talking to me about that and just meeting him again, and just I'm like, I want to be your friend. I don't know how, but I just want to be your friend. So it's just like stemming from that to 2009 when I was 13 years old, now almost 30.
It's
and like that's
yeah, like for you, like the experience, like not patting ourselves on the back or anything like, but you experience a lot for a team. Like growing up geek, you experience a lot that a lot of your friends going to the cons did not get to see or go to. Like your friends had to wait online. Your ass was skipping it because you had that press pass.
Yep. Bye, y'all. I got an interview.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And it's just like, and I remember one time, like me just getting a little agitated with you because you were like, I'm gonna wait on the slums. Like, you're about to freaking interview them. What the hell you mean you waiting online for?
I remember, like, yeah. Because I think also too, like I wanted that experience with everyone else. I think it's just like that community and camaraderie. Yeah. But as you know, now that I'm old enough, I'm like, yeah, no.
I'm like, no, we're not doing this. I'm not waiting. This is the time. By then, I'm like, yo, I'm not waiting these 2 hours anymore. When we're about to interview these people in a half an hour, get your shit and let's go.
Because I guess at the time I'm like, but what if they won't be able to sign anything?
Here's the thing too about that, folks. It is technically unprofessional to ask any guest if you're pressed to sign shit for you.
Although I did with J. Michael, and he signed it.
You did. But technically,
I didn't know that.
There are rules to the press game, people.
I didn't know that at the
time. There's some etiquettes there. Like you can ask them for a photo, and usually the photos we use, when we ask for a photo, it's not just for oh my God, I want to take a picture just to have it for my records. No. I usually post a picture because one, I use it for the actual article. And sometimes when you're just starting, you want to show proof that, like, yeah, I actually did interview this person. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's things like that. But we'll transition real quick from the interviews to, there's actually one more interview I think is still one of my favorites. I had to fix the website because I think I still have it, but on the website, unfortunately, if you're watching it, if you visit the website on Google Chrome, Adobe Flash Player is no longer supported, so you won't be able to hear the interview. But I'm gonna rectify that and just upload it through Squarespace soon. But the interview, I think this is our first dual interview when we interviewed Goku and Vegeta.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And Sean Schimmel and
Chris Sabat.
Yeah.
If you hear Ashley's voice, Ashley has a young sounding voice. Back then, Ashley's voice did sound like a damn child. So I remember before we even started,
I was like, hello.
So I was like, no. Oh, he's like, all due respect, how old are you?
And I was like, I think, when was this? This was
2014.
So I was 2014. I started college 2013. So I was 19.
Yeah.
I was about 19 years old. So, okay. So science, right? What you think you sound like is not what other people hear.
Yes.
So for me, I thought my voice was lower, but also too.
No.
Right. So what I also realized too is that when I get like nervous or like if you don't really know a person, your voice tends to go higher in pitch instead of just going the same. And then as you know, you get comfortable, then you get your normal pitch. So to them, it sounded like a helium balloon. And they did as soon as we came on, they were like, "Who is this child?" It was Chris. He was like, "Who is this child?"
Yeah, because I remember Sean was just like, you and Sean had like this English going back and forth about the importance of language.
Yes, because I wanted to be an English teacher.
Yeah, and Sean was like so ecstatic. It's like, oh, good, someone who understands grammar. And you guys are going back and forth with today's grammar usage. And me and Chris was just like, anyway, Dragon Ball Z.
But see, that's the thing that like
5 minutes.
I know, but see, that was also the thing too, is like, again, being an interviewer, interviewee, like sometimes those conversations before the interview starts happen before record.
Yes.
Or happens like in those couple of minutes. Yeah. Because that also happened to me at Otakon with another voice actor. Yeah. Like we were talking about stuff, and then when we hit record, like it was instant. But it was because we talked a little bit as I was setting up. Like, but
there's like even with me, the great thing about it sometimes is like if the interview's going well and the people having so much fun with conversation, sometimes you actually get at least sometimes 5 minutes, 10 minutes off the record. Yeah, I was just talking about life. Like I did a roundtable interview back at Tribeca Film Festival. Hopefully it's still on the site. With Quincy Jones, the
I
legendary Quincy
remember.
Jones himself. And after the interview was done, I got a chance, as you can see, you could go to our Facebook page. The picture's still up there. Me and Quincy Jones, and that was taken during a nice 10-minute conversation, just talking about him growing up, his experience in Chicago, me growing up in Far Rock, the importance, of Black culture and, moving the needle and, just telling me to keep, saying, inspirational stuff, just keep working at it and things like that. And it's just like a pleasure. And even sometimes with certain celebs or guests that we have, obviously time is money. But sometimes it's like, I remember one time they was like, I forgot who it was, but it was like, damn, kind of want to talk more about anime, video games, and everything else now with you guys. And it's just like, it's those experiences that I'm just so thankful. I cannot take it to the bank. Like I always say, if you're watching this, like, thank you for subscribing, or even if you just visiting the site, thank you for subscribing. Like, I never thought in my wildest dreams, for a channel that doesn't have that much traffic, that much viewership at times. Like, there's times that we're up there, we're like 10,000, 20,000. And then our original channel, I think we had at least a good 5 or close. We were in the thousands. And then we got copyright strike to hell. Like, this is truly our second channel. We got copyright strike to oblivion. Because if you go to youtube.com/otakus and geeks, you'll see that it's gone. That's why it's just Otakus Geeks. Copyright strike to oblivion. I think because I pissed some nerd off because I ain't like one of his animes, so it was just boom, 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 boom. Like every video, even videos that I just showed a picture, got copyright strike. And obviously we're so low on the totem pole, you couldn't talk to anybody on YouTube. So, just to restart it at that was like probably the dark times of ONG when it was just like, it was one thing after another. I'm not going to get into the other dark times. That's I'm not going to put anybody's names out there. But yeah, it was some really interesting times. And it's just thankful though, because I never thought I'd be doing this for 13 freaking years, and the access is still coming. Like, we're
all from
able
that
to
one, from that one like interview, and like for shout out to Crunchyroll for giving us a chance. To be honest, because
it'll start with Crunchy, and then it was Crunchy
and Funimation.
And it was Crunchy, Funimation, but the big fish that changed the game for us was Nickelodeon.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, Nickelodeon also gave us like a big chance. It was like, what, Nickelodeon?
Yeah, like, because I remember I got invited to Nickelodeon Studios, and that's when they were doing Sanjay and Craig.
Yes.
And I got
that show.
I actually got to go to Nickelodeon Studios, got a tour. I flew, and this is the part when part 2 comes. Sean will tell the story. I flew from New York to Burbank, came back the same freaking day because I had to work the next day.
Yep.
That's how much I love doing this stuff. It's just like, and that's how much I love being around storytellers and things like that. It has been such an adventure. And yeah, there are times when I actually would tell you the conversations. Sean would tell you the conversations. There is times I want to give up. There's times I'm just like, I'm done. I can't go on because it's a lot. It's a lot. Especially when you have so much people like, hey, check out this story. From indies, because and I think what our niche was, which we used to do cosplay girl and boy of the week.
Yeah.
We don't do it anymore, obviously now, because there's so much legal
it's
things.
Just too much,
posting people's pictures and fan submissions, and the fact that people have Instagrams or OnlyFans, and I'm not talking OnlyFans the porn side. I'm talking about people just have OnlyFans for their cosplayers. I mean, we'll get into that with part 2. I think Nadia can really go deep into how cosplay has definitely changed for better or worse. But I mean, I remember our first cosplayer, I think it was Yaya Han.
It was Yaya. Yeah.
Before she really, I mean, she was a big name then, but when then she really
This was like
really,
really before she like you could see her at almost
it was
every
like it was at the
cosplay
peak of
contest
right
as a
before
judge.
the explosion happened with
Yeah.
her. We used to do a lot of AMVs, man. The AMVs we used to do. This is when AMVs, for
Yeah.
those who are like younger audience, AMVs was so big back in the days.
But
It
now
was
because of copyright,
you
like
can't even do
they
them.
all got they all yeah, but they all got taken down. Like
Yeah,
my first one was Oron, and I was so proud of it. I'm still proud of it.
I still have it, but I
It's
can't
so good.
post it.
I know, and it's so good. Y'all, like this is it's so good. Like I don't know how I was able to sync up some parts to the actual words,
Yeah,
but it worked. Like I
like
made a storyline.
I can't. What was my first AMV? I did like a whole bunch of them, and that's what really got some of the traction going because it was fun to do. It's like
It
you
was.
take scenes. I think my favorite one I did was from this anime OVA called First Love, and I
Mm-hmm.
used Pharrell. I used Khalees' song "Shooting Stars,"
Mm-hmm.
and it fit so perfectly.
Now I don't think they do a lot of AMV contests because I remember like
Huh?
almost every anime convention that we went to had an
Yeah,
AMV contest,
yeah,
and it brought huge numbers just as much as like the cosplay did.
yeah.
But there's no more AMVs anymore,
It
unfortunately.
was such an experience
Was
for
yeah.
it, and like you could just tell how things have changed over time. I think that we'll segment in that in the next section before we wrap it up and go to, and then we'll come back with part two with Sean, who joined ONG as it was on the ground as well, and I'll see if I could get other people from the past to talk about the experience as well. And the new people as well. So we'll do that for the next episode. I mean, we're almost going an hour, so this is actually going to be another episode of the hour. I'm going to make this. So anyway, so I mean, the way things have changed, like just the world, like AMVs are not as popular. The fan dubs that used to, you don't really see that much fan dub. I mean, you see shorts, like you see a little shorts from time to time, but back in the days, like you do like anime fan dubs, or you would do dubs of your favorite shows, and
Your
you'll play
team
the
4 stars, you were
yeah,
little
and it's just
Karibo
like
with
even they
yeah,
have stopped. And it's
yeah.
just like even geek because we used to do this segment called Geeks. I'm like some of the stuff I'm really contemplating bringing back. Geeks who do music, where we
Mm-hmm.
used to interview actual nerds who were up and coming or in the geek space. I remember we did Leech Street Boys,
Yes.
um,
Oh,
Gary
they were awesome.
Samurai,
They were awesome.
Sky Blue, just to name a
Mm-hmm.
few. And they all still do music, and still I still listen to them to this day. I still listen to Sky Blues. I think it's either his first EP or second EP. But we we really like what my approach was. I wanted to showcase people that weren't like that were either underground or just want people to just show. Like I didn't care, and to this day I still don't care
Mm-hmm.
about how big your audience is. I think that does a disservice to the artist if
Right.
you only interview somebody if they have a big following. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
just let's not like my thing is, do I like it? And do I think the
Right.
people will like it? That's how
Right.
I always judge things. And if it's in the line of what the website is, because sometimes we get interview offers to talk to this expert about politics or religion. I'm like, did you see the website we do?
Right.
Like, hey, Justin, would you like to interview this expert on LGBT issues or black issues? And I'm like, um, we talk games, anime, and geek shit.
Mm-hmm.
We'll lose our people the minute you guys come on board. So no, and I think for me it's always been important for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, at times when I'm doing a review, I might mention if something might be a little woke. What I hate that term woke, by the way. Because woke, let me just touch on that real quick. Woke is a term that came from, I would say, the urban community, where it was kind of saying stay alert or be aware. And they turned it into this anti
Political.
political type of statements. And I really hate what the term woke came or
Mm-hmm.
what has come. Um, No, but I will say, yeah, there might be times where we call out something and touch on something that we're like, all right, y'all going a little too extreme here, or y'all going too extreme here. And that could be from the left order, right? Because we're not. I always made it because even when there's hot topics going around, like even the Vic Mignogna situation that happened, we ain't touch it. We ain't discuss it. Still won't discuss it because I feel that's personal.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with the artist's career.
Right. Exactly.
Other anime outlets, other channels covered that. Yeah, they did great. Some of them blew up from it. But if you notice those type of channels and content, that's all they can do now is the drama. And I remember a saying from back in the 90s, say the drama for your mama.
Yes.
But even then, I hate that term too. Because why would you want your mama to get the drama?
Correct. That is very true.
Depending on your relationship with your moms. I know we don't.
Right.
But it's just like, because I always get asked that. It's like, how come we don't cover anything like social issues or cover like scandals and stuff like that? And because number one, has nothing to do with us. Two, it has nothing to do, I think, with the audience wants to know about. I mean, it's called Otakus and Geeks. This is not Law and Order or CNN, or we're not posting anything politics here.
Right.
And three is you're liable for a lawsuit. Okay, that's what people don't really understand. Libel is serious. Slander is serious. You do not want to report something saying, hey, such and such did this, and then next thing you know, you're doing a GoFundMe because your dumbass said something was true, turned out to be false, so now you're getting sued.
Right, exactly.
And then you're trying to hide it under the guise of I was reporting.
Right.
Because you forgot to say the word allegedly.
Right.
So me and Ashley always made a conscious decision just to stay away from that shit. And I think a lot of people respect us for that. I think that's why we do get access, or we've been doing it for 13 years. Like I said, regardless of hits, this is for us as hobbies, not something like, I mean, hey, we managed to make money off of it. Oh my God, we'll be happy. But for the most part, it's just our enjoyment and love for the art form and the platform of what these men and women are able to do. And I just want to touch on that because I know that's one of the big questions that we've always been asked is why we don't cover some of the most spicy topics. And that's for those who always want to know, that's
and
why.
Also too, I mean, everybody does it.
Yeah.
So we want to kind of be that part of the internet where we're just here to have fun and just like we are we are cousins in real life. Yeah. We are your family members just talking.
Yeah. And it's not fun. Like, especially if you're watching people, you're fans of them, you don't want to cover stories like that, whether it's true or not. Obviously, if it's true, we obviously will write that person off and like, I guess we can't cover them due to, whatever crime they did or action that they did. And if time heals all, for me, I know how to separate the artist from the monsters. So I can still, well, except for Mr. Kelly, that's hard for me. Yeah, I can't hear. Seems like you're ready. It's tough for me to listen to R. Kelly now.
I don't listen to his music at all anymore.
I can't hear. Seems like you're ready, and hear your body's like a playground. Be like, oh shit.
No,
okay.
No, I don't even listen to him anymore. So
but
I'm not missing out on anything, to be honest.
He's in jail for what allegedly he did, keeping in protection. Allegedly what he did. So that's it. But that's the example why. I just want to show you example why, folks, we don't talk about this shit. But we're gonna wrap this up soon. So we're gonna do a part 2. But I do want to touch on one more topic, Ashley, and it's just like 13 years. Do you have a favorite moment, or are there several favorite moments that you're like, man, I can't believe I experienced that, or I did that?
Well, I mean, again, with J. Michael Tatum, and I think just having my first interview, like that whole experience, I'm actually going to go and listen to a lot of the old interviews that I did now that we're bringing it up. I think it's just like this whole experience of doing it for 13 years, technically 15 years.
Yeah.
And just like how far we came from like this passion project, and it's still a passion project.
Yeah.
And I know that like we all have like other lives, like Justin and I are now teachers, and so like that has heavily been on our plates for, I know for me, this is my 4th year teaching.
Yeah. And this is my first year as an assistant, and I will be teaching probably officially in 2025, 26. So I'm still the assistant, so I'm learning the ropes, but
it's still a lot. And
my
I mean,
students are
like,
great.
yeah.
If they ever come across this, you guys are awesome. So
Same thing with my students. I love y'all so much. And yeah, I think it's just like this experience of Otakus and Geeks has allowed me to, I don't know, really allowed me to, it helps with communication, especially as a teacher,
yeah.
where you have to do, technically you're doing interviews every single day.
Yeah.
5 days a week for 7.5 hours. So it prepared me to like ask them questions, ask like to get them comfortable in class, rolling with the punches, a lot of improv. I don't think a lot of people understand that teaching has, like, you plan, like, trust me, you plan.
Oh yeah.
But you improv for maybe 90%.
I had an improv today for my club. It was like, oh, you're going to a different room. I was like, I need the TV.
Right.
And then they put me in a room, my room where I teach, where I assistant teach, and that TV doesn't have sound. I'm like, well, plan B, guys. So
right.
It's constantly on the fly, man.
So just a lot of my things that I experienced here, and like a lot of advice that we've gotten over the years, helped me and shaped me who I am, especially when I was like 13. Like I was, especially emotionally, and mentally, like I was still growing and I was still learning. And so just learning about Greece and how people are people, and how to navigate through that space and be a little bit more extroverted, I feel like now, after 28 years, about to be 29 years of my life, I feel like I am more extroverted now than I've been in like the past 10 years. But yeah, I think every milestone that we do, like, is my favorite moment. Like this last interview that we just did.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments of all time. I want to do more an interview with them. So yeah.
And for me, I mean, it's hard to go 13 years and, well, technically 15, but the official's 13. That's when we brought the domain name. But it's hard to look back at all these years and just choose one moment. Because for me, it's just been a blessing to, even, like I said, even with the traffic numbers and I guess it's just a testament to the body of work and the respect when we do things. It's I will say, me going to Burbank, California, Nickelodeon, it's probably one of my biggest highlights. And I've done a lot. Like, I think I'm probably was fortunate enough to experience the most, because that's when everybody will. If there's one thing with ONG, is that the guarantee is that I'm going to be around somehow. For me, it's definitely Nickelodeon. Obviously the cons, Otakon, but for me, what really, I guess, really made me go like, holy shit, we're at least this particular level, is when I did Tribeca Film Festival. When I got my first red carpet experience. And I tell this story from time to time, and I still, especially after his passing, selfishly still get upset that I had a chance to interview Kobe Bryant and it was taken away from me. And because of a particular outlet that was playing the race card, which is ironic because we were both black, but she played the I'm a black woman card, and you have us in the back of the line. He's not going to be able to talk to us because they're next. And then the people who were dealing with COVID, I guess the PR rep was like, listen, we don't want no issues. We're going to have to give it to her. We could guys send you sound bites. I was like, I don't want sound bites. What's the sound bite going to do? Like,
Right.
it's only so, but just seeing him with his daughter and knowing, unfortunately his fate, and
Yeah.
seeing that man happy with his family, it was just like when that hit, when he passed, I was like, holy God. I at least could say, man, I saw the guy in person, and I was in his panel when he was talking about his Dear Basketball, which is, I still recommend everybody check out that poem, that short film that he did. Is beautiful. Just the ability to meet certain people that I listen to or watch, and being able, and regardless of what the battles, what personas they are now, at that time, like Aquafina, meeting her before she blew up, when she was a rapper, people, she was a rapper.
Yep.
Aquafina was a rapper. She was
Yep.
in a documentary about Asian rappers struggling to make it into the game and be accepted in a culture that was dominated by us. And she was 100. Like, everything you see there, like the way she talks and everything, she's from Queens.
Right.
That's how
not
she
front.
really, like, everybody kept saying that, she always putting a black face. No, that
No,
was
that's her.
authentic. It's no different than 50 Cent doesn't talk the way he used to talk anymore. Because when you get to a certain level professionally, you have to hold yourself to a certain way.
Not only that, like you also change as a person over time.
Over time.
And we all have we all code switch. So like when how we talk here is not how we talk at work.
No.
How we talk at work is not how we talk to the rest of our friends and family. So like we're human. That's what been saying all along. Like, we're all human.
Yeah. And for me, it's just, I guess it will be all the experiences, all the interviews, the travel, like, it's everything. Just looking back on it, like, I can regardless, like, for me, it's like regardless of the numbers and stuff like that. I'm guaranteed the channel's growing and we do care, like, if people see the stuff, but it really is the experiences. And I'll leave it like this, for those who are, something my uncle on my mom's side told me. Something I never forgot either, because there was dark times. Well, I'll probably get into part 2 of that, during part 2, where ONG was the last thing I wanted to see, was the last thing I wanted to be. We weren't getting numbers. Sometimes it was like barely cracking 1,000 at some points. And I was just like, what the hell's going on here? Like, where's the people? Like, and you find out, which is always crazy, you'll be surprised who visits. Like, sometimes when I go to interviews, people are like, oh yeah, I read your stuff, or I checked up your stuff before the interview, or some people are dummy accounts. Like, they subscribe to you with a dummy account.
Yep.
And you don't know. Like, you never know who's watching you.
Yep.
And that's why I always keep it the same way. But my uncle told me something very, very important, which I still hold to this day. I'm gonna pass it to anyone who wants to be a YouTuber. And if my club is watching this, this is something that I hold to this day, because it's very important. Sometimes access is more important than money. And I'll repeat that again. Sometimes access is more important than money. Meaning the access that you get can lead you to that path.
Exactly.
But sometimes it's the relationships you build and the impressions that you leave that's more important than the dollar signs.
Exactly.
And I just want to end it with that. Ashley, any last words? We will continue part 2. We'll do a part 2 with more from ONG's past and present, as they talk about the experience, not just working at Otakus and Geeks, but being in this, I guess, press game or, coverage game now, because everybody's got it. We're going to get into that now, because we started before everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's got a YouTube channel now. So we're going to get into that in part 2. But Ashley, any last words?
I also want to add working on it with you and starting this whole thing with you has also been a blessing and a highlight.
Yeah, this definitely bonded us as, I mean, we're cousins, but practically brothers.
We should be twins at this point.
We're siblings at this point because it's like, it's been a hell of a journey, man. Like I'm looking back now. I'm not saying your roses, but it's just like
it's a lot
to have such a small channel or just even small website, and you just like, you get invited to this, you get invited to this, you get invited to this, and granted, just sometimes we get denied everything because, these days it's all about influencers. The press is dying. You can see that right now because websites are closing down here and there. No one
reads anymore.
Yeah, no one reads. That's why we translate to video. Like even my video reviews, that would have been written, but no one really reads anymore. I mean, we're gonna get into that. I don't want to keep everybody's time here, but
and then
take us out.
Too, we're going to be at MetroCon.
Yes, we are. We'll be, and as press, we'll be at MetroCon in July. So
I think we're still
we have to decide whether we're going to do a panel. I'm not sure if the deadline's done for the panel.
We have to check and see. So we want to do a panel. So if we do, please keep an eye on that. Please come and see us. We will love to see y'all very much.
And I will be at Brooklyn Comic Con doing another panel as well this year. So we might do it. I gotta talk with the team. I gotta talk with Nadia. We might do a live version of the hour. So that should be fun. So we'll keep you posted.
And I think
this has been a special edition of the hour with It's an Otaku Thing. So Justin and Ashley will be back with part 2 where everybody else talking about their experiences of the game and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. And don't forget, soon we will have the All Girls episode 2. So, all women episode. Y'all grown women. I'm sorry about that. So yeah, stay tuned and thank you for watching. And later days. Peace.
Later.
Thank you for joining us for Otakus and Geeks, the hour. Support the podcast by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. For more on Justin, you can check out imaginativevisions.com. For more on Nadia, you can check out gothamgeekgirl.com. For more on Sean, check out his podcast, It's Chronicles, on Anchor FM. For more on Jarrell, check out his YouTube channel, Red Eyes Entertainment. Later days.